Hey guys, welcome back to Anthony's Tennis Hub. My name's Anthony Hirsch, and today I want to do a thing that I'm going to start to call Tennis Topics Rundown, where I talk about different topics in tennis, my different opinions of how maybe either to grow or improve tennis, or, just something niche going on in tennis for fans falling closer to the sport, or, just hopefully starting some discussions about tennis, even if, I get some comments that I disagree with, or if you disagree with my opinions. Hopefully we can start a bit of a discussion about some things going on in the news, and some ways that tennis might change in the future, etc., etc. For example, one of the topics that I want to talk about is Coco Gauff's match against Pliskova today, where she served a serve out wide. That was a winner service. Pliskova hit the return into the net. In about 2 seconds, like almost 2 whole seconds after Pliskova hit the return into the net, the umpire called out on the Gauff serve, and then Gauff challenged, the ball was in, and the umpire said, replay the point. Even though it was as late a call as you'll see on a serve. It was ridiculous. And, Gauff argued with the chair umpire talking for most of the time, not listening to Coco whatsoever, which was a disgrace to tennis and to Coco. Just completely disrespectful actions from the umpire, to be honest. And it was a really bad situation, really bad optics. It came at a point where Coco Gauff was down 6-2, 5-4 in the scoreline. She was serving. She ended up winning the match in 3 sets, which was good to see with the terrible call, but, this could be avoided. This kind of situation can be avoided. It can be avoided either with, Hawkeye Live on the courts, where you don't have to challenge the ball, but the Hawkeye just says it's in or out, and then there's less human judgment involved whatsoever. There's not going to be a situation where the umpire has to decide whether a ball was called out late or not, because there's not going to be that out call. The Hawkeye Live is going to say everything just straight up as it is. The other possibility is to add more video replay technology in real time to decipher whether either a foot fault was called a certain way, or whether a let was a let, or, whether a double bounce was a double bounce, or if the out call was after a call. There's so many things like that in tennis that could be changed with video replay technology that's being used anyway. You have this technology in these video replays where you can dive really deep into certain things, and you can rewatch in real time, and it's a bit of a disgrace that we're watching this 3-second video clip that makes it perfectly clear that that Gauff serve was called, that he called it out after the return, and he's just saying the whole time it was called at the same time. It was ridiculous. He's the one who called it. It's not even a line judge who called it. Insane. And Coco's calling incessantly for a supervisor, as she should. I wish she sat down or refused to play the match. And which is very good that she didn't necessarily do that, but she could have sat down, but it's not her responsibility to do that either. She's asking for the supervisor, and the umpire is refusing to let her see the supervisor. It's well in the rules, and he made a ridiculous call. And yes, the supervisor probably would have overturned the umpire, which probably would be the first time I'd seen a supervisor overrule an umpire, which is something that should probably change as well, to be honest, because often I feel like the players are in the right, and they're not really getting their opinions heard that much, and it feels like they don't really have that kind of backup for somebody to back them up, but often the players are wrong as well. But anyway, the umpire, whether a supervisor would have agreed with Coco or not, which clearly she should, or he or she should, it seems crazy to me that that we're relying so much on human imperfection and judgment, rather than now that all this access to technology that we have that we're using anyway. So I think video replay on lets, on foot faults, stuff like that should happen. I'm ready for 2025 when Hawkeye Live takes over. I felt really bad for Coco. This was a poor situation. She did say it gave her some fuel to come back, which is good. That's good. It's a great mindset from Coco that she was able to use it like that. That's how you want to use it, no matter who you are, is to, that's a sign of a good mentality that Coco's always possessed, is to be able to kind of, be able to be able to navigate even through tough terrain and figure out how to use certain things as fuel rather than to get upset by them. So that was very impressive, and either way, she should have never had to deal with it in the first place, and hopefully that we can use more technology in the future. Other thing, pickleball. Is pickleball a problem? Is pickleball really becoming a problem? People have been talking about it. It's been taking courts from lots of club players, recreational players, junior players. Even in my local area, they're taking courts from certain places and neighborhoods. Just making tennis courts shorter and optimizing them for pickleball. And this is just, listen, it's not good. It's not good for the sport. And then the other big thing was the Miami Open this year announced that they're going to host a pickleball event alongside the tennis. So this is a tennis event, and yet they're going to be hosting a pickleball tournament that will include Major League Pickleball. It will feature a Pro-Am and also a 2-day tournament featuring the best players in the world. It will feature pickleball stars playing with celebrities for Pro-Am, which is professionals playing with amateurs, round robin and a team exhibition tournament, also 3 playoff matches, but also a 16-match tournament featuring 16 of the best pickleball players in the world. James Blake, who's heading the tournament, said he wants to make it a festival atmosphere and be the first 1,000 series to show both elite tennis and also pickleball athletes. Here's the thing. Pickleball is it's a different sport. It's very different. It's like, this isn't even, it's great. People can like pickleball. I have no problem with people liking and playing pickleball, really. Even for me, in my personal life, pickleball has been great because it partially helped me get back into playing tennis again. So it can be a great gateway in that way. And I respect that. But it's completely different from tennis. Part of the reason it is such a such a gateway is that it's very easy to pick up. Probably easier than tennis to play at first. It's much easier. It's much easier of a sport. It's much less physically taxing. A lot of the things that makes tennis so exciting. And, I just don't want to see it replacing tennis. It's not something that we need to, we don't need to see it taking away eyes from tennis. It's not going to replace tennis. Tennis is one of the most popular global sports in the world. But that being said, you have all these kind of celebrities and so much, money being thrown at pickleball, and it can take a lot of eyes away from tennis. And a lot of people who would play tennis can start going to pickleball. I just hope that doesn't happen, and that people understand how unique and special of a sport tennis is, and that you just can't get those same things from pickleball. But I'm glad for the two sports to exist in their own right, but they need to exist separate. It's like when I've seen pickleball being shown on Tennis Channel. There's different racket technology. There's completely different rules in every way. The courts are different. Everything you can imagine. They don't even play with rackets. They play with paddles. There are certain racket sports that are much more similar to pickleball than tennis is. Only the courts are pretty maximizable from tennis courts to switch into pickleball, but it's very, very weird. I thought it was a great announcement. James Blake said that wheelchair tennis is going to be added as well. That's great. I love it. They deserve, those athletes are so impressive. It's a fun sport to watch, and they're so skillful, and they deserve that access. It's another form of tennis though. Pickleball is just a completely different sport in its own way. So I just don't understand why they decide to do this. Like I said, it's easier. It's more accessible of a sport where the first time you play, you can already be very, very good. But at the highest level of pickleball and the highest level of tennis, these two sports are just black and white, night and day. It is insane. I haven't really liked the Miami Open tournament anyway. I respect how unique it is. It offers an atmosphere of a laid back kind of atmosphere. People just kind of, enjoying different things outside of tennis as well. They're just kind of just drinking, enjoying tennis. They're in a big stadium, by the way. I mean, listen, this is Miami Open moved from a park, Crandon Park, in Key Biscayne, to a massive football stadium, Hard Rock Stadium, which hosts the Miami Dolphins, a football team. 65,000 capacity stadium. What is known as the biggest tennis stadium in the world, which is Arthur Ashe Stadium, 23,771 seats. This is 65,000 capacity. Is it ideal and maximized for a tennis fan? To me, it really doesn't feel like it. And I just hope that the eyes are on tennis. When celebrities playing in pickleball, it's just going to get eyes away from tennis. With tennis going on at the exact same time, I loved Crandon. I also don't love the visuals of the court in Miami Open, the new one. It's like both blue on the outside and the inside of the court, and it's just subjective. But Crandon Park, I love the way the courts looked. There's a beautiful area right outside with Key Biscayne. I know Crandon Park, it seemed like they wanted to somewhere else to host it, but I don't know if this is the right fit, because it seems like it's just not going that way. And I like James Blake in general, by the way, but it just seems like whatever is happening with the Miami Open, I don't like the direction it's being taken in, to be honest. And yeah, that's just how I feel about it. And it's just a completely different sport. It's pickleball to tennis. Like I said, I have no problem with pickleball, but if it's taking from tennis, they need to stay separate, because they're completely different sports. You don't get nearly anything from the highest level of tennis and how difficult and athletic it is compared to what you get with pickleball, and they just have to stay separate because it's taking away eyes from tennis, in my opinion. The other thing I want to talk about is the WTA schedule. You have 2 WTA 1000s with the highest level tennis against the highest level players in the world in women's tennis, the highest level athletes in women's tennis. 2 weeks in a row playing 1,000, 2 of the biggest tournaments in a row, both on the same surface on hard courts. And then 11 days later, guess what? You have got Indian Wells. 3 in a row. Guess what? Next week, you've got Miami right after Indian Wells. That is 2 back-to-back tournaments taking place within 11 days. And guess what? All 4 are on hard courts. Hard courts have taken over the tennis world, and slow hard courts particularly have taken over the tennis world. It is pretty crazy. It's crazy. We need to have variety. You have tennis all year. Sometimes people say tennis is repetitive, or they don't know why they need to keep tuning in. Adding more variety would be a great reason for people to understand, oh, okay, well, there's different things going on. And I'm interested by tennis anyway. I understand why tennis is so compelling anyway, but having more variety, even for a diehard fan, I think would add people to want to keep tuning in throughout the whole year, just more and more and more. To have more clay, to have more grass. It was only about, what would it be? I think like 50 years ago, that 3 of the 4 majors were on grass courts. Hard courts was the one that there's no major on hard courts. Hard courts was not the thing that it is now. Hard courts has taken over. We need more grass. We need more clay. And surely we can't have 4 hard court masters play back to back to back. It's not good for a fan viewing experience to have it back to back to back like that, because even the most diehard fan, at one point you're going to tune out a little bit. And that's nothing against women's tennis at all. I feel bad for it. At some point you're going to tune out. Same thing for men's tennis. You're going to tune out at some point, even if it's for 1 day or 2 days. And that's not something you want. We need to space these out. And for the women playing, it's going to be so hard on their bodies. Why are we purposely making the schedule so disjointed? At the end of the season, there are very few 1000s. And now they're talking about possibly adding an 1000 tournament in Saudi Arabia, also on hard courts, by the way. And it just feels like the schedule is all mixed up. We need to completely figure something out with the schedule. I don't know. I'm always a little bit, I really love what we have with tennis, and I don't want to completely change everything. But we do need to figure something out with the tennis schedule. Surely the WTA schedule, because 4 hardcourt masters to start the season, right back to back to back within like 5-6 weeks. I think within 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So without 7 or 8 weeks, Miami and Indian Wells are about 2-week tournaments. So like 8 weeks, you have 4 1000 tournaments. So they need to figure something out with that, because it's crazy. It's not good for the players. It's just going to cause, a lot of withdrawals. Probably towards Indian Wells and Miami, you're probably going to have tons of withdrawals. If not, Sabalenka withdrawing from the first tournament that happened in Doha, which is now in 1000 tournament. Dubai, Indian Wells, Miami were already 1000. So I don't really know what they're trying to do with the schedule, but they need to figure out a way to, mix it up more with surfaces and, mix it up more with the level of competition, because these are supposed to be the biggest tournaments in the world. It's the same reason why WTA finals last year, it seemed like they were so flippant, and it didn't feel like one of the biggest women's tennis events in the world is going on. where you have such great stars at the moment, like Rybakina, like Swiatek. They played a final last week, and I felt like a Swiatek-Rybakina final never got less, attention than it did last week, but especially the matches towards the start of the week. So I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's maximized to its utmost potential at the moment, the schedule at all. And then also Holger Rune is back with Mourataglou. Patrick Mourataglou just feels almost comical. He split with Mourataglou in September of 2023 after a bad first round loss at the U.S. Open. And now they're back. He had a little bit of a stint with Boris Becker, a very small stint with Severin Luthi, who helped coach Federer. And he is back with Patrick Mourataglou. I don't know what's going on. He needs some stasis in his coaching box, because this is a guy who is such a work in progress physically, mentally as well. I actually like Rune's mental side. I think he fights quite well in matches and is able to focus well when he needs to, but he's such a work in progress in his game. He has so much variety in the tools that he has from back the court. It's about his shot selection and figuring out how to work his game right, when to come to net, etc. It's his shot selection is all off. When to go for winners. So such a work in progress to have such a weird kind of coaching situation on the side, and also, his mom, who's so inside of everything. It feels like he needs to be surrounded by tennis experts and people who are experts of his game and how to perfect it. Because you see a pattern with all the best players in the world, even with Sinner and Alcaraz, right, who are part of his generation. You see this stasis in their coaching boxes. Ferrero has been unbelievably good for Alcaraz. We'll see how they start to keep kind of, wade through this kind of minor period of struggle at the moment. But, that was bound to happen. And Ferrero has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Been with Alcaraz, I believe, since Alcaraz has been 13, 14. And Sinner with Cahill couldn't have made a better coaching team. Sinner fired his whole team in early 2022 after a bad straight sets loss to Tsitsipas. And, after that, he's had incredible stasis in his box, and Cahill and him have just been fantastic together. So you see that with all the best players in the world, with people's personal lives, and, having the same kind of girlfriend, wife, or just their coach as well. It's having the same significant other and also having the same coach, I think is a very kind of, important thing to have that stasis, and especially a coach, and especially for a guy like Holger Rune. And I just don't know with Mourataglou. Mourataglou is very unpredictable as a coach, and you just don't know which way it's going to go. But I just hope Rune finds some stasis and finds some way to figure it out. But he needs to fast, or I don't know if he needs to fast. He's only 20 years old. He's had incredible results to this point for a 20-year-old, with a Masters title, 2 Masters finals on 2 completely different surfaces, fast indoors and clay. But, Sinner and Alcaraz have taken the lead. I think it would be pretty universal at this point, or not universal, but a lot of people would say that it seems like Sinner and Alcaraz are kind of in a league of their own for the future. But we'll see how Rune can catch up. People have kind of compared it to Federer and Nadal, and then Djokovic on the side. I do think it's going to be Sinner and Alcaraz spearheading, but I think that there's going to be a lot of variety with young guys in the mix as well. But I hope that Rune can prove me wrong, and that he can be right up there with Sinner and Alcaraz, but he needs to find some stasis in his box for that, because he really is amazingly talented and just has such a complete player for a young player. And like I said, I do like him mentally, but he needs to find a better focus and a better stasis in his box to make everything work a little bit better. But yeah, this has been a tennis topics rundown. I'll probably do more of these. I'll definitely do more videos just talking about certain topics. I'll be back here for a podcast as well. And yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Anthony's Tennis Hub if you did enjoy it. Don't forget to like the video as well. All of that stuff. And I want to do this for tennis, and for, to keep growing the sport of tennis, get more people talking about it, and to talk about the things that I think a lot of people are not talking about, maybe afraid to talk about, or just not talking about it and focusing on other things. But I think these are good topics to kind of focus on and bring attention to. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys at the next one.